Good morning. Good morning. This is the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi. I'd like to welcome you to the Good Morning Education Show. Fantastic show it is. It's always a great morning here on the Good Morning Education Show. And we are streaming from Abuja to Nigeria, to Africa, West Africa, to Africa, and to the entire world. It's always a great pleasure having you on board. And we look forward to you sharing your day with us every Monday to Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We're going to be talking about fantastic things on the show. We have analysts and experts who come on the show, sharing their views, talking about the things that they believe in, sharing their perspective about the subject matter of the day. And today will not be an exception. We're going to be having great people, fantastic people online who will join us. And please, we would like to request that as you join us today, please do tell us where you're connecting from. Tell us where you're streaming from. Tell us where you're sharing from, and let us celebrate you. Especially if today is your first time on the show, we would like to acknowledge and respect that. And please, along the line of the conversation, we'll ask our audience to feel free to ask us questions, whatever the question might be. Please do feel free to connect with us, sending questions so that we can treat these questions as we go on the conversation of the day. And of course, shout out to our tribe members who consistently follow us, who like our page and all that. And I would really like to say at this point in time, please ensure that you subscribe to this channel and click the notification button as well. And then like our videos, share our videos so that it's going to be a good experience as we connect together. Is that fine? I believe that should be fine. On the show, let me just express and share with you what to expect. On the Good Morning Education Show, normally we begin with greetings, and then we go to a period of news, headlines, and reviews, and we spend some time to talk about upcoming events that we do know might be happening within the sector. And then after that, we now take a dive into the subject matter and the conversation of the day. And we also, while we do that, showcase comments from the public and get to share in their views as our experts also share their views. Today will be a great day, I believe, and we already have our analyst in the house. Let me welcome Titi Adeusi to the Good Morning Education Show. Titi, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Rotimi. Looking nice, clear crisp with your nice glasses in your nice hotel room. Good morning.
Why did you have to do that?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show from wherever you are listening in. We're excited to have you here with us every morning at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Wow, good morning, Olatunde Adebayo. Yes, thank you from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you very much. And see Madam Fee looking creeps as well. Our internet is correct in that Belkuta. Please, she needs to tell us because her own is always stable. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Timmy. I think I offered the right sacrifices to the God of the internet. So they're always here.
Well,
Jude needs to hear
welcome.
that. Good morning.
All right. Okay. So, he said, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. So let's just head over to the news, and once we head over to the news, we'll be able to show that. Can you all hear me? I think.
Yes,
Yes,
we
I
can.
can hear you.
Yeah.
Titi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we
I
can hear you. We can hear you. Hey.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
Rotimi, are you there?
No, he seems to be out right now.
Okay, so it's just me and I to Rotimi sneaks back in and any of the other people. So I think we'll talk a bit about some of the headlines. I know that Rotimi is in here to be able to show it, but I think we can just kick off the discussion. Well, of course, welcoming everyone that's joining us. Just say hello as you join. Let us know where you're joining from so that we can just hail you as well. And if this is your first time, you can also say my first time on the Good Morning Education show. We just kick off with a bit of some of the news. A bit sorry that we can't show you, but you just listen along with us. I think Fee, I don't know if you can see some of the news, but let's start with this one. 30,000 candidates may lose admission as Niger state government defaults on NECO. Oh, Rotimi, you're back?
All right, let's head over to the news and then we'll come back.
What happened to the news?
Hello, Titi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but the news is not on.
Okay.
You're having technical
I'm
issues?
not sure. I think we're having network issues.
Okay. I think we can just talk about some of it.
Hey, Fee, what did you do to internet today?
Yeah. I think we should just kick off with the news. Rotimi, are you with us? Rotimi,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the controls are taking them their own instruction, taking their own instructions. Okay, so if you can hear me, just say yes, you can hear me. Finn, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Fantastic. Sorry about the network. This is the Good Morning Education Show. We're streaming from Abuja to Nigeria, West Africa, to the entire world. And today, we will go straight to the conversation of the day. We're talking about school and career readiness. School and career readiness. So, of course, we know that in some other places they say colleges, right? And how do we get to talk about school and career readiness?
Mm.
I guess today is just not Rotimi's day. Today is just
Let
not
me just be able to appease those holders of the internet to
today is just not
release their
Rotimi's day.
hold on it. Well,
Anyway, before he comes back, I don't know if there's any item of the news you wanted to discuss before we go into today's topic.
well, yes. I look at the headline on 30,000 students likely to lose their admission because
Mm.
Niger government is defaulting, and that is absolutely sad. If first it beats my mind that the government will default in paying for their exams or in paying whatever fees they need to pay. This talks to priorities. They have been spending, they have had expenditure in other areas, but when it comes to this, it's very convenient to default in it. It's completely uh, it's irresponsible, it's not fair. But then I think the moment they realized, oh, we will not be able to pay this, why not give the parents the options to pay? Some parents would have gladly paid for their kids or would even still gladly pay for their kids if that's going to rectify the situation. And for a place where we know that uh, it's not that they're not that academically and educationally viable, why not put in every effort it will take to get those things running and to get the system moving? That's a sad point for me this morning, really.
Yes, I agree with you. Rotimi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I can hear you very well.
Okay. While we were waiting for you, we decided to talk about a bit of the headlines from the news. But back to you.
It seems like the news is bringing bad connection. So let's just go straight to the point. And of course, you guys I'll just carry on if at all I'm thrown out of the studios. But we're talking about school and career readiness, right? And we'll start with Finny this morning. Our audience out there will be willing to hear from you. Um, in some climes, it's colleges we're referring to. So we're not just talking about school in terms of primary school, but then of course, how do we plant a purposeful drive for school readiness? Getting students into that point where they are ready for school, physically, mentally, socially, and all that. And then, of course, link it with career readiness. A lot of people used to talk about dropouts being people um, who do not complete their programs, maybe along the line they stop halfway or something like that. But I've come to realize that in some cases, dropout actually does not necessarily mean it. But there are many scenarios you study maybe engineering, and then you find out that you're doing something in tech or something outside tech or something like that. You studied accounting and you're doing something far away from accounting after you study, just to finish your university degree and discover that that's not really what you want to do. That's in a way dropout itself, you know. So sometimes most of us are dropouts without necessarily making it look like, because we're out of the line of what we studied. So, Finn, over to you.
Okay, I'll say getting students ready for their career starts. The foundation for me would be the secondary school before they move on to college, university, whichever one we want to call it. Before they get to that stage, what do they want to do? What are they? What first? What's the desire of the child? What does the person individual want to study? Secondly, what are they built for? Because like when in your opening you gave examples of people who have gone into school to maybe even study medicine and they came out and they're in accounting, or what they're practicing is completely different from what they studied. And this is where career counseling comes in for me from the secondary school. I know that not many schools have that anymore. It's almost an alien thought to schools now. But when I was my personal example now, when I was in the secondary school, I could, by the time we were moving to senior secondary, it was a problem. I didn't really know where I wanted to be because I could function in arts, I could function in sciences and the social sciences very conveniently. But then I wasn't sure what I wanted. First, I knew I didn't want to study medicine. Everybody was doing medicine. I just felt like, oh, okay, that's going to be like a cliche. I didn't want to do any of that. I didn't want to do any of the cliche courses. But sitting down with the career counselor and talking with him, I was able to stream down and come down to what exactly am I tailored towards? What exactly, at a point, I wanted to study architecture and feel, okay, yeah, I like to draw, I like to create things. But then I know that one of my personality traits is I get easily distracted if I have to sit down for long periods on something. And looking at grids, having to draw grids and do the, I probably wouldn't have been a very good architect. Eventually, I was able to find, okay, I'm more into the creative arts and more, I will perform better there. And that was able to help me to eventually find myself in education, because the more I went in, when I got into the university, it was easier to pick that trait that, oh, this is what I'm more suited for. So my preparedness for career, my preparedness for school, my readiness for what I was going to do with my life, my foundation was in the secondary school. And I think for many of our students out there, if they are prepared early enough from secondary school, we have less cases of people getting into the university and they're confused. They get into the struggling with courses, they're struggling with concepts, they're struggling with quite a number of things. Sometimes it's not because they are weak in those subjects or they're weak in those, but it's just because there is no convergence between their personality traits, between what they really are cut out to do and what they are in school studying. So that for me would be the foundation.
Fantastic. While you were speaking, we have KK in the building now. KK, good morning. How are you today? KK, are you there?
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Fee, Sarotimi, Titi. Yes, I
Morning.
am.
Good morning. I think
Okay.
there's a time lag.
All right. So we're talking about school and career readiness today. And Fee has opened up the conversation for us. And she stressed the fact that,
Morning.
yes, she's.
I can hear
So we stress the fact that we should really take this thing to the roots, even before secondary school, probably at the point of secondary school, early enough, so that there's a better picture being painted. The question is this: is career counseling enough to push you to career readiness? Titi, I'd like you to answer that because you know, I don't know.
I would say it's not, because I'm just trying to do a flashback to the careers that we have throughout counselors, and I'll say no. I think it's a thing of constant exposure. So when I look at my kids today, I think they have a better exposure to a lot of different careers, because they do a lot of all these field trips. They do a lot of all these people come to talk to you. There are a lot of things woven into their curriculum, if I may put it that way, that kind of exposes them to various things. The projects, the kind of projects that they do, it just opens their mind to so many things. So currently, my son that is in primary school, they're talking about space. And they then went deeply about the astronaut, and they're now having a little play on the astronaut. So it it indirectly has maybe laid a seed for one child to say one day I want to be an astronaut, because they kind of walked in the shoes of that. And I think that's really how it should be. It shouldn't be lip service kind of counseling. When you have all these career talks where different parents across different sector come to show you a day in their life, or you go for different excursions and field trip into those things. So it just opens your mind. When you go for field trips to the bank, you go to the central bank, CBN, you go to MTN, the call center. It then just those are various things. Or you go to a tech company, maybe Facebook and Google's office here in Lagos. So those are, I think those are more effective career readiness. Or they take you to see other. It shouldn't be only formal. They take you to see other people that are entrepreneurs, people that are business people that own restaurants. Pizza Hut. Those are various things that show you various careers. Because I don't want us to only make it in quote formal careers. Doctor, lawyer, engineer kind of things. No, I think with where the world is, it should really be open, where it's various things, the things that people are doing in various ways to build careers. And I think those things have to be woven constantly throughout the life of the kids, from primary school all the way to secondary. And I think another thing that helps is the internship program that kids normally do in, I think they normally do in like SS2. It's popular in the private schools. I don't think they're popular in the public sector, where they have this term where they do like a 2 weeks to 3 weeks internship in an organization. So I know that, like Niger Kids, for instance, we've in the past 2 years, I think we've had like six to about minimum of 6 kids who were in their like SS2 that have come to do a 2 weeks or 3 weeks internship with us. So what the school does is that they choose a bit of their preference. They look for companies that will take them in for that 2 weeks and just kind of expose them. And the truth is that you plant a seed. So that's that. Those are just my own initial thoughts in terms of um the experience. It makes a world of difference So by the time you think you're going to be a doctor and you go and do that, all right, man, this is not for me. Like what you was saying, or you go and do 2 weeks in an architectural firm, like, man, this is not this is not what I want. So I think it's something that needs to be constantly woven into the child all throughout the experience. Another thing I want to add is I think that's from the school's perspective. I also think it's something from the parents need to do. So I personally, I said that once my son turns 13, every year after that, especially during the summer holiday, he must go and work 1 month in one place or the other. And it's the same thing. Uh, I'm hoping that it does two things. One is helping build work ethics at an early age, find out that work is not the glorified thing they see on TV, and also just exposing to different things that hopefully one day will plant the seeds of whatever his future career would be. Okay, back to you, Rotimi.
The internet is actually very, very unstable today. I don't know why, but I hope you can all hear me.
Yes.
Titi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
All right. So I love the way you put it. That look, we need to understand that with counseling, we must put some addition, and you rightfully mentioned we need to explore exposure. Exposure really will go a long way. Student exposure is very important, especially because how much more life experience stations. It's not table experience afterwards, you know. But now still speaking about the conversation on career readiness, right? I would like to ask what would you consider like the step-by-step procedure that must be in place for us to easily say students are ready for career? I'm going to ask Fee, then I'm going to come back to you, Titi. Step-by-step procedure, step-by-step, yeah, procedure. Fee.
Okay. I would say they start with exposure to all sorts of careers. Um, or maybe before that, I would say that the teachers, the school system, the whoever is putting them through, parents need to be updated about the careers that are out there. It's not the traditional career path anymore. There are a million and one ways and a million and one careers that people can choose from these days. I mean, I saw somebody who by career he's a humorist. Then that's what he does professionally. But in some climes or in some places, a child comes and says, "I want to be a humorist," and you're wondering, "What are you talking about?" So those that are saddled with helping the children, with helping them navigate their career path, they need to be updated about what's going on and what the careers out there are, and then exposing these children to these careers, just as Ms. Adewusi has said, let them have a feel of as many as possible. Of course, seeing does a lot more than just saying. So, as much as they can visit, as much as they can explore online, let them see what people do. Let them watch channels that expose them to different career paths, that expose them to the different things that people do. And then we come to the child and ask them, what do you want to do? What do you, we could, there are questionnaires that help with step by step, helping the child, that it's like helping the child find his purpose. What are you cut out for? So we look at what their hobbies are, what they're most tended towards doing, what they're more likely to do, like in what their personality type is, if you have a child who is an introvert, pushing them into a career that extroverts thrive in will be placing quite a lot on that child. It doesn't mean they're not going to perform properly there. They will, they could, but then it will be adding some extra to them, pushing them right out of their comfort zone. So we help the child to find what their purpose is, what their objectives are, what they would like to say, what their contribution to the world is. And I would say then we are on the way to career readiness. Let me stop here. Okay, it looks like Mr. Artin is out.
It looks like Mr. Rotten
Ready?
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
FTG, good morning. How are you? Welcome. We're talking about career readiness. I'll just read the comments from
Thank you. Very
the
well.
bio, and then we'll
Okay.
let Safety Chi give us a thought. Olatunde Adebayo saying emerging new careers. Emerging new careers
Okay.
only made career counseling not enough for career readiness. Yes. Even when the counselors and the stakeholders they say, I'm not aware of these emerging needs of the future world of work. Thank you very much. That's so on point, Olatunde Adebayo. So Safety, back to you. From what said, how can the school help kids be more career ready, especially considering the future of work?
Okay. So
I remember they always say that even the future of work is unknown.
Ms. Adewisi, are you there? Safety check.
yes, as I was listening to Finfolu, one of the things, and so they had all sorts of that events like that should continue to happen. But this time around, you have music people, because again,
Wow. See, like today, it's only you. It's only you that waka come with good internet.
I think I need to share my connection. I was wondering if I'm the only one not
we have to be
hearing.
instead, which will not be existing in the coming years because
Okay.
of the advent of the newer technology and apps. So move with the time, work, school, and also of parents, and then of course, conversation with a friend.
This network is very bad today.
In Abuja, we realized that younger people who grew up in families where their older siblings were forward thinking, had newer experiences, they are better able to make those who grew up in fact school preparing our young ones for their career readiness.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure if Safety Chick is still talking. Her audio
I'm
seems
not
to be
sure.
slipping in and out.
I'm not sure at all.
Mm, wow.
Okay, I think this is this is interesting. So is that Eben that has joined us?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning, Eben. Thank you
Morning.
for joining us today, and hopefully
Thank
the
you.
bug that is going around will not come to your side. So we're talking. I'm telling you, we're talking about school and career readiness, and we're saying how can
Yeah.
schools help the students be more ready, and not just for the typical jobs of doctor, lawyer, engineering, but the
Mm,
real the future of work, which
mm.
is changing and evolving, and will most likely change and evolve even more. So there's the common saying that the future of work,
Are we still there?
is unknown. Yes, safety chick, we are here, but we lost you. So, well, sorry, your connection. Let's not say we lost your connection. Okay, Eben, over to you.
Yeah. So, school and career readiness. That's a very big topic. When I saw the topic yesterday, I said I would try all my best to just make sure I contribute this morning, because this is one area that I try all my best to make. Welcome, Mr. Rowe, Dr. Rowe from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm not sure he's hearing me. So this is one area that I try all my best to make everybody, especially school leaders in schools and teachers, to understand that it is not all about those knowledge that we teach. There are three major things that we teach in the classroom. We teach the knowledge, the skills, and the values. We need to emphasize more on the skills, because the skills actually changes almost every day. And some of our school curriculum is somehow is not designed in a flexible way that can accommodate a lot of innovations around. And maybe because of our relearning, a lot of teachers don't relearn, a lot of people don't relearn. When you relearn, you will upgrade. If you don't relearn, you can't upgrade. Somebody like me now, I use COVID to actually relearn. And then I know that schools also can use a lot of problem around them to redesign the curriculum in such a way that it will actually get the children ready for the future. Talking about the future right now, there's a quote I usually see online that if we if we train the learners the way we have been taught, that means we deprive them of their future, because we don't understand how the future will actually be, and we don't understand the jobs of the future. The jobs of the future can actually change in such a way that some of the things we are teaching them right now may not be relevant. Even right now, there are so many things somebody like me learned in school that are not actually relevant to me. I was just like, why was I learning this? Why did they decided to design the curriculum like this in such a way that I could not even gain anything from it? But I actually used some of them from previous year, but for now I could not be able to use them. So I think school leaders can actually work on creating an adaptable curriculum in such a way that it can adapt, it can actually make the children adapt to any situation they find themselves. Leadership skills is there, and then making sure that everybody have a technology skill that can make them to stand out in the nearest future. Because technology has actually come to stay, and technology should be something that if you talk about, if you are a doctor, you should also be a technologist in what? In being a doctor. So everybody should have little technology in part of what they do in the future, and so many things. So I don't know where to start from, but I think that school leaders has a very long way to go in terms of redesigning the curriculum to be flexible, to be adaptable to the skills and the jobs of tomorrow. So let me leave it to Rhoda. Welcome, Ma. Good morning.
Brother, good morning. If you have two people that sneaked in through the back door, good morning.
Good morning. Good
Oh, good
morning,
morning, you guys.
Titi. Good morning, Fee. Good morning,
Good morning.
Eben. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Rhoda. Good morning, Mr. Rotimi.
Okay, so we're talking about school readiness, and what we are saying is, how can we get career readiness? How can we get students ready for careers, especially in the future of the unknown future? So Ifek, I don't know if you can share some of your thoughts before we go to Rhoda, if she's still here.
Okay.
Rhoda,
Sorry.
Go ahead, Ifek.
Okay, so I'm not sure if what I'm going to say has already been addressed or discussed, but I'm going to go from where Eben stopped. He was addressing some of the skills that individuals or students need to get in readiness for their career. And I think it's some of the things that schools should also focus on, apart from the academic aspect or equipping children and getting them academically sound to function in their chosen careers even if they choose rightly. I think there are certain other skills that are transferable. So whichever career you find yourself in, you can still adjust and you can still make it. So some of those skills, while he was talking, it just came to me. He mentioned technology. I'm going to mention problem-solving skills, critical thinking. Are children equipped to be able to think critically and to problem solve, at the spur of the moment? Are they equipped with skills like teamwork, collaboration? These are some of the things that young children are still in secondary school, not just secondary school, from the early years. So when we talk of school readiness and connecting it to career readiness, I think it starts from the early years, and teaching a child to be able to collaborate, to be able to work as a team, even when that child is 2 years old or 3 years old, and gradually upskill it, teaching that child at each level of each stage and age of development to be able to think critically and problem solve for his or her own level, teaching a child to communicate effectively, orally and written. These are some of the skills that schools should also focus on when they prepare children for the future. Digital technology, that has come to stay. There's no going back. So other skills, leadership skills. So, I've mentioned quite a few, and I think it would be good for schools to also include this in the curriculum. Have it written out there. These are some of the skills that children will be leaving the secondary school to progress into their career with. Professionalism, work ethics. How do you manage yourself? How are you accountable? What effect work habits do you have going into the career management? So how do you handle that your career to make sure that you achieve your goals? Children need to be able to know how to identify and spell out, articulate their skills, their strengths, their knowledge, their experiences, and be able to position themselves to achieve their goals. So that's an aspect of career management that children should be guided. It's vague, they see too much, but taking it step by step will help them and equip them to be ready to function in their career. Hello?
Yes, thank you.
Apologies, sincere. I'm so sorry.
Okay,
Apologies.
yeah.
Yes, I'm really sorry. My network has been very, very funny. But this is a topic after my heart, and I'm very excited that we, took a moment this time to just kind of like focus on this. I think the end goal for education really is career readiness, is career path, and ultimately why are we all going to school? We're going to school because we want to be functional citizens in society. We want to have some impact. We want to earn a living. We want to be self-sustaining. We want to contribute to national growth and development. And everything requires is on the table of skills acquisition. I think we've gone way ahead of just being academicians and people who basically just have to go to school for the heck of going to school. And that's why school is being looked at from multiple perspectives, whether formal, informal,
formal or informal. And so ultimately, those people who continue the career of the path of formal education, and those who come to continue the path of informal education, all end up in career readiness. And so I'm very glad about comments that I was able to hear from. I think I met events, and I also met a bit of Ethiops. And so for me, it's this is what I wrote as my thesis when I was doing my master's, and it was all about the impact of cooperative education on skills acquisition. It's basically saying what are the important things that we need to do to drive career readiness. So from the aspect of score structure, from schools, what should a school be doing to make sure that they're preparing or there's this career readiness? And different things need to happen at different school levels, at primary level, secondary, at tertiary, at vocational level. Every level, different things need to happen, but they need to be first in the world of making sure that policies are driving it. The reason why we also ultimately have to go into policies because we know that with policies do outlive institutional heads. And so when that is there and clear that, okay, in every last 2 years of secondary education, every student is expected to experience job shadowing, job training in particular industry areas. So there's that partnership between industry and schools that needs to happen as well. And so that's where policy comes in to help to drive that sort of like initiative to ensure that people are actually putting their words where their mouth is, or their mouth where their words are, their actions where their words are. Because it's good enough to say, oh, curriculum, every school should work with their curriculum and they should make sure that this and that, the jobs of the future world of work and the jobs that we don't still know the jobs and things like that. You can't know all these things if there's no partnership, sincere partnership between industry, curriculum, and schools and management as well. So that's for me is where the key thing is to drive it. Now, for those schools who want to be inspirational, aspirational, want to ensure that they're not missing out. There's a lot of things to do that you can implement some of those policies within your school systems. You can implement cooperative education as a system if you have run a secondary school. For primary school, you want to look at the daily practices, methodology that helps to drive these things. So enough away from cramming. Like when people say, oh, children in primary 5 and 6 should not use calculators. My friends, it's not the calculator that is their problem. And so they're saying things, or when we say, oh, every time you go to a class, they're copying notes. It's simple things like this that tells you, look, the children we're teaching today are not going to copy anything. They're going to be typing throughout. So you need to start thinking, what are those practices, those methodologies that we're doing that are actually obsolete, outdated, they're not career ready or career worthy or even future world of work, compliant. So those are things in the primary education. You need to do away with some of those obsolete things that we still have our children. And then infuse a lot of technology. So technology is key. Technology drives what we're doing. So I think that goes without saying. But I mean more in the world of making sure that we establish policies, establish the framework that will get to help things happen. So in the primary education, which is foundational education, change all your policies, change all your instructional methodologies. Those things that that really just doesn't characterize future world of work. And then open up, opportunities for children to express themselves, to find themselves is so key. I find it really weird that in primary schools and schools are just really focused on the things that make them to pass only high stakes exams. No, there should be a lot of infusion of film industry, things that make children find themselves. And that is where, like Eben said, we don't know the future, we don't know all the jobs that they will do. And like I often said, there'll be a lot of freelancing. The children we're teaching today are going to freelance, they'll be experts in freelancing. And that means that they'll be required to have multiple skills, of time management, of conflict resolution, of course, tech, and even coding these days. I read somewhere how at some point you might not need to learn how to code because everything is already, the whole script is written out for you. So it's now how do you big picture thinking, project management, and things like that. So that's where my thoughts are in the world of policies, in the world of looking at our instructional methodologies, in the world of partnership, partnership with industry, to understand what's happening in the industry, especially for tertiary education. What sort of skills are we looking for? Those of us who are constantly recruiting and having people interview, people find it difficult to answer questions. And so in primary school, for example, you should be very focused on comprehension as a skill. comprehension and writing. We should be heavily focused on those two things. So that's what everybody needs. Ask you a question, you can't answer it. There's a problem. That's a comprehension problem. There's a listening problem too. And so when you look at your English language or the language arts, whether it's English, Yoruba, whatever it is that you're teaching, comprehension should be a key thing, and writing. So what are the things that you need to do to help a child write? Because everything we're doing here is writing. Look, I'm looking at the screen, I'm reading what was written. Someone is writing it. It's a world of work skill that will never go. Time management will never go. Conflict resolution will never go. Project management will never go. So there's the things that we need to look at. That's where, my thoughts are. And is our boss wearing eyeglasses today?
Someone has to wear glasses on your behalf. Hello, good morning, Rhoda. How are you today?
I'm fine. Good morning.
I love the way you put it. We must think about career worthiness before we think of career readiness. A lot of us need to realize, and it's not one-sided, because the children themselves, they're a product of the process. So that's a very deep one, and I think it would be nice for our analysts to really spend time to probably share some thoughts as we make probably our last words on the show today. How do we build children or students to be career worthy? Because really that's a critical point in talking about readiness. How are we sure that we are not just trying to speak hope without really wiring them for the things that are coming ahead of time? So I'll ask Eben, I'll ask Ifyok, I would also ask Finn, and then I'll end with you, Rhoda, and Titi. So Eben, to you, parting shots, please. Eben, are you there? You're on mute, even if you're speaking. Unmute yourself, please. Okay, Ifyok. Ifyok, can you hear me? All right, so let's have Finn.
Okay, career worthiness, I would say, is from what we have discussed so far, we have picked that we have dropped a number of things and ways to make children career worthy. Exposure, let them be exposed to the skills that are needed for living, not just, it's not now for survival in the career space, but having them open to resilient skills. And then when they have to make adjustments, where they have to work hybrid, where they have to do work that is not, or where they have to go into activities that are not so traditional and are not what there is probably a manual for. They'll be able to switch, they'll be able to perform without breaking down. And I've heard of a young man who walked out of the office crying because the task that was given to him, he wasn't prepared for, he wasn't ready for it. And he felt everyone was on his case and they were talking at him, and so it got so overwhelming. He didn't know what to do. He just walked out crying and, no, I can't do this anymore. I can't take this anymore. To prepare our children and the future for work, for career, I would say let's help them learn these resilient skills. Let's help them learn those things that are not taught from the pages of a book.
Okay, Ifyok, I think Ifyok, you're back.
Yes, I am back. Yes. So, well, my parting comment on this would be, with regards to developing, with regards to career worthiness, would be one, guiding students to be able to continuously educate themselves, upskilling, upgrading skills and knowledge, and not just making it one-sided, but just skills and knowledge generally. At every opportunity, being able to identify opportunities to grow. We must not also take away building adequate mastery in the domain, in the chosen career. So in one's domain knowledge, you should be able to gain mastery over it, so that way you know what you're saying. So you have your onions and then you sell it. Those would be my parting comments.
Titi, let's have Titi.
Okay. I think what I want to say, and I'll say it as a parent, is that we need to get our kids ready. I like what Rhoda said in saying that it has to be a framework. We don't know when this framework will come to pass. So what I would then say is that you need to encourage your school. It's a thing of don't be there waiting. Encourage your school, the school that your child is in, to have something that they've implemented to get your kids ready. Even
I'm back now.
Even as a parent, you have to say, what else should I be doing to get my kids' career ready? Those are my parting shots.
Thank you so much. And then Eben, before we end with Rhoda. Eben.
Yeah. Career worthiness. As much as possible, teachers, school leaders should try their best to make sure that a skill should be attached to what is being taught in the school, and technology should reinforce that skill. A skill should be attached to what we are being taught in school. An example can be arts. Art should be taught in school, but the children should understand that art should not always to be done in a manual way. Technology should be integrated. Video editing should be integrated into art, and so many area of art should be in form of technology. With those skills, it can actually prepare the children for the future, and any task they actually find themselves in, the solution is just going to come right away due to the creativity they have acquired.
Fantastic. And of course, Rhoda is going to end it with today's show. Rhoda, please, parting shots.
Okay, so I mean, when we say when we say worthiness, it stems from the word worth, worth, when something is worth something, or worthwhileness. And something that, I mean, anything that is worth doing, and is good enough, is important enough, that we spend time and our time and our effort and our money, on it. So it has to be value that's sufficient, sufficient to repay for that time, for that money, for that effort that is spent. So and it has to be something of that a sense of quality that renders something really either desirable or valuable, or in other words, useful. So the concept of it being of career worthiness is really just around making sure that there's certain things that we do. First, we ensure that those skills, that we are helping the students, our pupils, our Nigerian children build career relevant knowledge and skills. Because there's a world of relevance, and that relevancy is key to the work we're doing in the classrooms today across levels. So that's how we now. So when we're thinking of worthiness, it must be relevant. And so if whatever we're teaching is really not relevant, that's where we should begin from. And then we need to engage effectively with people, with work, and the world of work, and then and with various situations, as the pandemic, for example. I mean, you look at how students had to, on their own, figure out how to solve their problems from tertiary to down to primary, and with involved parents. So engagement, in making sure that, like I said earlier, industry partnership with curriculum, with schools, that's key. And then we need to be able to make sure that we are building, in other words, maybe adaptive capabilities, because we need to also ensure that schools are adaptable to the times. So it's flexible. Your curriculum is always on the course. The main of curriculum in itself is a course to run. And what that means that it's always in motion. And if it's always in motion, it is adaptive, it is flexible, it should be relevant. And so that's what it is. So these are things, and we in building the framework and championing the course of building the framework, these are conversations, of course. And remember the other day we were talking about, are we talking or working? These are conversations that need to now be matched with some kind of agenda and work. So yeah, those are my parting.
Thank you so much. That's powerful. It's more than a parting shot. There are parting shot, parting thoughts, parting points. Rhoda, you're the best. All right. So thank you guys for today for joining, and I believe that it's a great point to really call it a day. We're going to be here tomorrow, and it's also going to be another exciting time together to learn, to share, and ultimately to grow. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Tell someone to subscribe to the channel. Like the page or like the videos, share the videos, subscribe to our analyst. Odeto Ebenezer is online on all the platforms. Rhoda Odigbo is online on all the platforms. Folio Falodun is online on all the platforms. TT Adeosi is online across the platforms. Jude Ashedu is also online across the platforms. Ifyok Ikeagu is online across the platform. We have Okeinfo Ajayi, also known as KK, which is online across the platform. And trust me, every one of us, you will get something. It's just like a cocktail. It's a balanced diet. You have nutrients, you have vitamins, you have everything. By the time you begin to follow us, your life will never remain the same. Ladies, please take it out as we end the show. What we normally say to the people.
It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show.
All right. Bye.
Bye.